Happy Friday and welcome back, EvolveSec members. Thank you all for joining us for our latest virtual meetup event, How I Passed the OSCP, a virtual guide by Ramandeep Singh. For those of you who are not familiar with Evolve Security, we are a technical cybersecurity firm. We're dedicated to helping businesses improve their security posture where they are the most vulnerable. We provide services including network and application penetration testing, and even cybersecurity staff augmentation. And we are also a cybersecurity academy. We offer a 20-week live online cybersecurity bootcamp. We provide a holistic approach to cybersecurity education. We deliver hands-on lab-based learning and thorough job preparation training to help you successfully transition into the field of cybersecurity. And we are now accepting applications for our remote April session that starts classes on April 5th. And we are also accepting applications for our new 18-week OSCP Bootcamp. As one of only 3 authorized training partners with offensive security, our new bootcamp will provide you with the most comprehensive OSCP training available on the market. Students will advance their pen testing skills through a blend of live online instruction, lab tutorials, and custom lab environments inspired by real-world situations. Enrollment also includes access to the PWK course, including all labs, videos, PDFs, and exam voucher. If you're interested in applying or have any questions about the trainings we offer, please feel free to reach out to our admissions team for more information. And now to wrap this introduction up before handing it over to Ramendeep, just a bit of housekeeping. We will have the Q&A box open for this event, so if you have any questions for our host, please drop them into there. And Ramendeep will do the best to get everyone's questions answered during the event. Just as a reminder, we are recording this event and it will be available by the end of the day today on our Evolve Security blog. And you can easily access this event and hours of additional EvolveSec webinars by going to evolvesecurity.com/blog. So that's all I have for today. And with that, I will hand it over to our host, Ramandeep Singh.
Awesome. Thank you, Colleen. Can you hear me?
Yes, we are good to go.
And can you see me now?
We can see and hear you.
Perfect. I'm going to share my screen and I will request you to confirm if you can see my screen as well.
Yep.
Cool. All right. Welcome, everyone. So thank you for joining this webinar, How I Passed the OSCP. I'm very excited to share some of my personal experiences and secrets that, I was always thinking about sharing with some of my friends, my students, or community members, cybersecurity community members, to be honest, like how I cleared my exam. It's a challenge in the real life to actually find a person who can answer some of your questions for a specific, for a specific certification like this. It's kind of a difficult task to find the right person who can answer your questions right away. So I'm looking at the Q&A box and I see some good questions, and I will try to answer those right when there will be the time to discuss. There is a specific time when I'll be taking questions, so I'll try to answer your questions. So let's get started. All right. A brief overview and/or agenda for today is there will be 2 parts of this webinar. I'll start with my introduction, and I will jump into what is OSCP, about what exactly is OSCP. Why do we actually need OSCP in our lives? Why is it so important? Why is it one of the golden certs in the industry? What exactly it is, and why is it important? I will also discuss about my journey, my experiences, my pains and gains. So we'll briefly discuss about that. Let me bring everything on the screen. So then I'll talk about tips and tricks I'll try my best to cover both the lab time and before exam tips and tricks. I'll also try to cover um, the exam day tips and tricks. Also, there will be some tips and tricks for beginners, intermediate hackers, I'll say. So experience-based tips, because I think they are important in my opinion. So I'll talk about those as well. Um, some suggestions for exam day, and if we'll have time, I'll actually go through a demo box, where I'll give you a walkthrough on one of the boxes that I think is very close to what exactly OSCP is. So let's get started. Let's move on, and I'm gonna talk about who am I, a little bit about myself. I'm a OSCP, OSCE, and OSWP. I do have some more certificates like Security Plus, CCNA, CEH, CHFI, and some other that I required in my previous jobs or just to gain some knowledge. I thought of taking those certificates, but OSCE is kind of a one step up from OSCE, OSCP, and we are not discussing that today, but we'll be targeting OSCP today. So day to day, I am a security engineer at Evolve Security, in which I lead our uh, application security penetration testing team. And in that job, I basically um, also perform mobile application pen testing, cloud security assessments, wireless security assessments, and there are multiple other domains where I specialize. Won't say specialize, but I kind of perform those. Uh, I have a background in bug bounty hunting. I used to play a lot of CTFs, like capture the flag, and for almost 3+ years, I worked in digital forensics domain. When I was back in India, I uh, was working with certain law enforcement agencies or cyber cells where I was working in data forensics, and was performing investigations for the court of law. Oh, and then I had a privilege to speak in certain cybersecurity conferences like B-Sides Chicago. I think it was in 2019 when I took a session on bug bounty. There must be a recording somewhere if you're interested. I had a privilege to talk in DEF CON India, Cloud Security Alliance, etc. My handler is 0xRDS. That's just initials of my name. And that is how my internet presence is. I'm not a big fan of social media, but one can easily find me on Twitter, LinkedIn, and Facebook as well. All right, enough about me. So let's get started here. And I am going to talk a little bit about what exactly is OSCP. So to get started into pen testing or offensive security, so we will have to understand what is offensive security. One should start here if you want to start in pen testing. So this is not a generic or just a common how I passed my OSCP kind of a webinar, to be honest. I was thinking of just taking a box and just giving you a walkthrough and just giving you some enumeration tips and tricks, but I really want to share my experience and uh, some additional hacks that you have to actually adapt in your life to be successful uh, if you want to become a successful offensive security or a pen tester professional. In some cases, you can start from Security Plus as a basic certificate. foundation so the stronger the foundation is, the better your future will be in that domain. OSCP is basically a penetration testing exercise in which candidate will act as a white hat hacker to identify weaknesses in a network system. Keeping in mind it is not a black hat pen test, because um, I've been into a lot of discussions so far where people actually talk about offensive, OSCP, and just say it's a black hat pen test exercise. It is not. Just to touch a bit on hats here, um, hackers are actually generally categorized by type of metaphorical hat they wear: white hat, gray hat, and black hat. Some of you actually might have this. You might already know this, but this term actually come from old spaghetti westerns where the bad guy wears a black cowboy hat and the good guy wears a white hat. Um, there are two main factors that determine the type of hackers you are dealing with. So first factor is their motivation. Their motivations actually play an important role, and if it's malicious, if it is for benefit. Other type of factor that is there for to categorize a hacker is whether or not they are breaking the law. So um, OSCP is white hat, as I said. White hat hackers choose to use their powers for good rather than evil. And why I am actually discussing this in this webinar, it is because you have to keep this mindset when you are taking the exam or even preparing for it. It's very important to have the right mindset even while preparing. It's not just important to know that, it is important to keep that in mind when you're preparing for the exam. It is important to, even think like a white hat hacker. You're not just hacking into something and, uh, you know, uh, just destroying it. You have to provide remediation in your report when you will be writing that report for offensive security after your exam. I'll talk about the reporting part later, but I just wanted to briefly touch on what exactly is OSCP. It's a white hat pen test exercise. Just to keep that in mind. Um, so the benefit, basically, because white hat hackers can sometimes be a paid employee or a contractor working for companies as security specialists that attempt to find security holes via hacking. Um, so I'd say white hat hacker, or you can employ the same methods of hacking as black hats, with one exception. There is one exception that you will have from a black hat hacker. Uh, a black hat hacker will do it with a permission, or a white hat hacker will do it with a permission from the owner of the system first, which makes the process completely legal. And the white hat hackers also perform penetration testing, the test in place security systems, and perform vulnerability assessment for companies. A black hat hacker will not perform a vulnerability assessment for companies. Um, there are courses and trainings, conferences, and certifications like ethical hacking and that is brief about what is um, what what will be the mindset that you'll have to keep in mind while preparing for OSCP. So now onwards, if you can always think like a white hat hacker if you're preparing for OSCP, that will be the right mindset to keep uh, throughout till you take your exam. Now, what makes it different is that you need to take 100% hands-on exam within limited 24-hour time. In addition, you are also required to submit a comprehensive penetration test report, including details of your findings during exam, within another 24 hours after the exam. So it's literally just 2 days off your life. It's 48 hours straight up. The exam is proctored, you all know. I'm just briefly touching. It's all available on internet, but I will now cover my experience, because now I'm going to talk about my journey right after this. Uh, so for those who are actually trying to learn more about OSCP right now in this boot camp, I'm covering this for those participants. So it's an exam. It is proctored. It's a 24-hour exam. It is proctored, and you will be given around 5 vulnerable machines in isolated VPN network to compromise. Um, the target, um, uh, will be vulnerable. It is not a patched system. You keep that in mind. I mean, you have to hack it. They want you to actually break into it. Uh, the ultimate secret to clear the exam is enumeration. The better you can enumerate, the better the result will be. And it is pretty common that people struggle. I struggled a lot with enumeration initially. Like, I had no idea uh, how to enumerate. Like, am I actually enumerating or what's going on? So am I missing something from my enumeration? There were a few things. So I think it is important to see everything on the screen in the results. I will actually touch that point when I'll briefly talk about enumeration later. So let's move ahead and let's talk about my journey, which I think is the most important slide on this presentation here. I'm going to share all the points so you can see right away, but I'll take one by one. So my journey is, my experience is basically, it's as I said, it's not a typical how I passed my OSCP webinar. Um, while planning for this meetup, I wanted to dive into specific details like my failures and how hacking changed my life entirely for the better. I feel a lot of people out there can relate to my experiences. Um, I have been in the shoes of a completely newbie before with absolutely zero clue on what's going on. I had no idea, you know, what exactly hacking is, and I'll talk about my my background here. Is I I have asked people the same question. I still get asked to this day by other newbies, and because of me being able to relate to them, you know, there are few questions like, "Hey, can you hack Facebook?" And everybody get excited. It's like, now if somebody actually asks me that question, my expressions can tell them that they should not ask this again, uh, at least to me, because their understanding about the what they actually think about a hacker or a pen tester is absolutely wrong. Um, so I first heard about OSCP in 2011, um, and one of my friend mentioned about it and how it is a very difficult exam to clear and all. My immediate thought about OSCP was that it's something that I will never be able to clear, as it's so difficult. Um, I mean, if someone tells you that you have to sit in front of your screen for like 24 hours and hack into 5 machines, uh, you know, you can just think about it, like what will be your reaction at that point. So I started my journey in IT with information security as my major at university. I graduated from Lewis University it's here in Illinois. They have a really good cybersecurity program. So thankfully had really good mentors there. Uh, it, but here's a fun fact. Now, and I think there are 100 plus or more than actually 150 plus people right now in this webinar. Um, I can see, or I have actually, I had students in the previous cohorts we had at Evolve Security, where there were students from different backgrounds. And the fun fact about me is that I was a biology student with dreams to become a doctor, but with a tendency to always reverse engineer whatever I see. My dad suggested not to become a doctor because that can be dangerous, for patients. So the, I mean, jokes apart, I took that seriously, and I realized that I like controlling things in the way I want them to work, which is, a typical hacker behavior, and it's normal. Um, Everything around you can be hacked in some way or another. So I was just one of those type of a kid that always liked to uh, open up things and just do whatever I want to open up and just see how it works. Um, I decided to then pursue a 4-year bachelor's degree in electronics and telecommunication. Out of nowhere, I thought it will be very helpful to build my foundation strong. And then I did masters in infosec that helped more. Uh, Having a master's degree in information security helped me a lot. However, I must say, now please keep this in mind, uh, what I'm saying right now, that most of the things that I have learned or that I was learning in my master's degree, I actually already knew most of them. If that is surprising at all, for some of you, you might be like wondering from where I actually learned all that. It was all self learning, Google, participating in cybersecurity conferences. That's important, um, because, as I said, I was a newbie, right? I was a beginner in that domain. So, and when I will be talking about tips and tricks for beginners and like experience-based tips and tricks, I will be covering that. So, hacker news updates from community, and the network I made from those conferences that I attended, that also helped. Um, so during the summer vacation of 2017, I actually realized that I should now take it, as I had sufficient experience with Linux operating system and Windows after doing all sorts of capture the flag, some bug bounty hunting stuff, and uh, vulnerable machines on different platforms. So my initial goal was to understand how the exam is. I was not at all thinking about clearing it. I, uh, I mean, it was a major investment, but considering how difficult it is, according to my seniors, I must understand why they made this certification exam this tough. Like, is it like really just about hacking these machines, or do they really want to teach you something? What exactly is it? Is it that if I just hack those 5 machines, I'm like a, you know, uh, super cool hacker, or can I just hack anything that I see? Is it just that, or are they really, or is offensive security really trying to teach me something? Trust me, it was not just that. It's not just about hacking 5 machines or 5 boxes and getting certified. Success in anything has its own pains and gains. So I'm a kind of a person who likes to put 110% of my focus into something instead of having multiple areas to focus on. So I really was at a brick wall for a long period where I was thinking, should I take it or not? But then the real challenge was am I actually learning everything that is required for exam, or you know, is it just that I do some boxes, like 30 boxes on hack the box, or one hub, I'll just clear the exam. And um, I actually reached out to some of my mentors, um, and asked them like how it was for them. Um, they they told me that it's not just about hacking machines, it's about being persistent, it's about being patient. uh, Patience is the key. Do not get frustrated, and there are multiple other factors. So it's just many things. So I registered for PWK labs in like December 2018. I spent the first 2 weeks learning from the study guide. Now this is where the important part is. As I'm telling you what I did, this was the major, this is the main sauce of my success. This is the secret sauce, uh, the most helpful part of the entire preparation. Learning from the study guide, the PDF and videos that you get from PWK when you register, and doing all the exercises. So then I took around like 3 weeks time on labs, where I managed to route around 25 to 30 machines, um, including some clone machines in public network, and also unlocked some other networks, um, IT department and development network, I guess. So um, for like, if anybody is interested to know how much time I was putting into it, I was spending around 4 hours on a weekday, because I had a full-time job, and I spent around 8 hours on weekends, sort of 8 to 9 hours. Uh, I used to sleep a lot lesser than how much I'm sleeping nowadays. I take a 6 hour sleep now, but I used to sleep 3 hours, which was bad for my health. But don't do that. You do not want to, overwhelm yourself with all that stuff, like not sleeping and just hacking, hacking, and hacking. Health is important. So 8 hours a day on a weekend, if you can manage, is absolutely the right amount, I guess, if you're dedicating that just to the lab time. 4 hours on a weekday helped me a lot. I was just about, there where I will hack a box every day, almost, or maybe sometime I was about to actually, I was able to actually get 2 boxes if I'll spend 4 or almost 5 hours a day. So, uh,
Ramendeep, just a time check for you. We're about halfway, just so you know.
okay, thank you.
Yep. Yep.
So I just to continue my journey here, I also found that learning from study guide while doing exercises in parallel is one of the best learning experience I have ever had. So I'll repeat that again. The study guide, if you learn from the study guide that you get from OS, from offensive security, if you study from that while doing exercises in parallel, it is one of the best learning experience that I have ever had personally. Do not ignore that. Some of my friends actually never touched those PDFs, and they were like, "Oh, I do a lot of one hub machines. I do a lot of hack the box. I'm fine." But again, you're missing a lot. It's OffSec really actually nails it. They offensive security have, I mean, they have pretty much dedicated an entire team on that, and they nailed it with their teaching methodology, and you should not miss it. Plus, they are able to actually make buffer overflow section very simple and easy to understand. Um, and by the way, the updated 2020 PWK course is super amazing. Uh, you might find some old write-ups out there that actually say that, there are window XP boxes on OSCP. It's not that. Uh, Without sharing too much information, there are Windows 10, latest updated boxes with like patches from last month in the lab environment. Sometimes you will find those boxes where there will be security updates installed on the box from last month or this week. So they are this latest. There are no old boxes. There might be a few. They are easy, but they are kept intention, like they are there intentionally, but it's changed. So the quality and the content is amazing in the updated 2020 PWK course. So uh, the most important part here, again, and I think this actually helped me to 40% of my exam. I think I cleared my exam because of this point. It's very important. Scheduling your exam properly is important. For example, if you pick up whenever you're like trying to take the exam, you're picking up a slot for that day, and you pick up 11 p.m. in the night, and you say, I'll just sit throughout the night. I'll have a lot of time. Uh, I will just hack some boxes in the night or something, late night. Your mind and body might not work that way. How it works during or how it works in the morning or during the daytime with full performance. um, it's different for different people. This is what worked for me. I think my body works best in the daytime, which is normal human kind of a nature. uh, Pick up the right time to start exam, or that actually affects your performance. um, you do not want to pick wrong time slot and then start your exam at 11 and then get sleepy at around like 3 a.m. in the morning, and then sleep till like 4 p.m. in in the afternoon, and then rush everything. Start accordingly. Start at like and actually I'll tell you how I scheduled my exam in the next slide here. um, so this was my exam day. I um, i woke up at 9 a.m. I slept well, and as I said, schedule your day properly. I was on my desk by 11 a.m. So it took me 2 hours to actually, after I woke up, took shower and had breakfast, and I was at my desk at 11, and I still had 2 hours until my exam starts. My exam started at 1 in the afternoon, like so 1 p.m. Of course, I prepared a lot of chai tea. I'm a big fan of chai. So that I can stay awake and try harder. Um, Being Indian, I like tea over coffee. Sorry, but it's your choice. So just right amount of diet is important. I was revising my notes I had, and at 1 p.m. I received my package and started my exam after getting everything checked with the proctor. Now, you must know that OSCP is proctored. My plan was to go for buffer overflow, which is a 25 pointer machine. Then at the 10 pointer machine, you can see I had two plans. It's pretty fancy actually. I had two plans in mind. I'll just go for 25, and then I'll take the 10 pointer. Then I'll go for 2020 machines, like the 20 pointer, and then followed by the 20 pointer. And then if I'll have time for the other 25 pointer machine, I'll do that. Otherwise, I'll just finish with 75, which is, the passing score is 70, and having 75 actually puts you in a safer spot. So 75 out of 100 is what my target was, to actually just finish if I can. Um, I planned to go only for the 25 pointer box as plan B in case plan A didn't work out, if that doesn't work out for me. So for those who are actually planning to take the exam in like next month or so. This is important, that do the buffer overflow within the first 30 minutes. Practice a lot, which it is the heaviest point machine, like it is a 25-point machine. I was able to do them in my sleep. I practiced so hard for it. I got the admin shell within 30 minutes, I can say. Um, and then the 10-point box was kind of surprising, to be honest. It was not very simple, but when I actually found out what was it, it was pretty like it was a good box. So as I said, enumeration is the key. One must know how to use Google properly. Uh, you should keep this in mind. Always know how to use Google. Google is your key to success. Enumeration is your friend. So once you enumerate the box properly, for example, if you're using Nmap and uh, you know and you're using the right flags, uh, you're using TAC SV, SC, SVO, some flags that we commonly see in Nmap. Do not just miss anything in the output. Read the results properly. Do not rush when you go through the Nmap output. You will see the initial entry point to the box somewhere in either Nmap or Nikto. There will be a lot of information in those two. So um, Nmap is your friend, enumeration is the key, Google is your resource where you can find everything. Rely on official resources. Do not go to like a third party, weird website where you can find like a .zip file to download exploit. That's not how it works. Go read on Microsoft website if it's a Windows box, and see how it can be exploited if there is anything from the security advisory. So read that properly. Um, it took me around an hour to root the 10-point box. You must be laughing right now, like this guy actually rooted the buffer overflow machine in 30 minutes, and then he took an hour to root the 10-point box. It was something straightforward, but I was thinking too much. Mine was a bit different than what I have heard usually about 10-pointer boxes. I feel like that. I had to go onto the box, find something that gives me remote code execution with privileges. I actually saw a question in QA. I will actually take questions in a minute. But somebody actually asked, show us the right way to perform privilege escalation. Privilege escalation is not that hard. It's just that everything that you see on the box, maybe it can be a process or it can be a service. So look out for services, look out for processes. If there is a scheduled task that's running on the box, it can be either that basically gives you a root shell once you execute it, or maybe you have to you have to create a custom payload. I do not want to just share a lot here, but look out for services, look out for scheduled tasks, look out for procedures, not the procedures, but the processes. So process, service, scheduled task, uh, and any third-party applications or softwares installed on the box. These four things will be your way to, or can be your way to Privesk a box. Do not get fancy on your command line. You can just type nmap tech sc tech sv and the IP address. Save that output. It will work fine. You don't have to create those fancy, for I or like some weird scripts. You do not have to get that fancy. Proctors are not grading you with those according to those super pro level commands that you're using. It's just if you can gather information as much as you can in less time, it's better for you. So do not get distracted with uh, with you know cool looking scripts. It's just use the simple syntax that is there. Uh, if you are an intermediate to a expert level, professional, if you use Bash or PowerShell in your daily life, just feel free to do whatever works for you. If you're a beginner, stick to the normal syntax so at least you can use the manual or help that comes for that tool. Now, it was actually, going back to my 10-pointer box after exploiting where I was at the Privesk. So I got the remote code execution, and I got the shell. It was pretty easy to get stuck onto Privesk, but thankfully, uh, my Nmap skills or my local enumeration skills were strong enough to so that I actually noticed what's going on. So look at the output of the tools that you're using, and do not get too fancy about it. I did the 20-point boxes, and then um, I had some like 55-ish points within 8 hours. I was really pumped. And then I took another break, and then I started other boxes. It took me another like couple hours almost. In next 12 hours in, I was at 75. So that was my initial plan. So when I was at my 75, I actually jumped out of my chair, and I was so excited. Um, but that is my journey. Now, I'll stop here. This is part one. I'll stop here and take questions, and then I'll start with tips and tricks based on basis of experience. So I'm going to pull up my Q&A box. Oh man. All right. Difference between solving hack the box pro boxes and OSCP. So there is no such difference. Every machine is different. Uh, it's just about how you enumerate. There is no such difference I see. I mean, I am a very active hack the box. Um, you know, I do hack the box every week, twice every week, I guess. I mean, we actually at Evolve Security, in my day job, uh, all our consultants, we sit down together in the evenings every Wednesday or Thursday. We do hack nights where we take hack the box machines, and all of us are like OSCPs at this point, or some of us are actually going through that process where they are almost about to take exam. It's not that different from Hack the Box Pro machines. It's just that you have some more information about those machines on Hack the Box. So if you click on Hack the Box, whatever box you're, for example, if you're doing Optimum or any other machine, Lame or something, you click on that. Even though those are retired machines, I know, but if you click on that, you'll see a dashboard, and there will be a fancy hexagon, or I think it's an octagon or something. There will be a figure there, and you can actually figure out if you have to perform custom exploitation. Is it a CVE based box, or is it like just OSINT based box? So you will not get that information for OSCP machines. There is no help for OSCP boxes like that. I mean, that on Hack the Box, you get a basic idea about those boxes. Which boxes are really close to OSCP? There is a list, I think, from TJ Null. It's everywhere on internet. Just search for TJ Null OSCP. I think it's an Excel spreadsheet. That is a great resource, and most of us, I think 90% of the people who are actually preparing for OSCP at this point are are using that resource, it's very helpful. So um,
Ramendeep, just letting you know that we have about 15 minutes.
okay, one more question. I'll move forward. Thank you, Colin. Uh, so what tools will be covered in the bootcamp other than Metasploit for payload delivery? We rarely use Metasploit. Uh, we try not to use Metasploit as much as we can avoid Metasploit. We try to avoid that. Just in case if there is a if there is a Metasploit payload, we will try to go through that, try to understand the code and how it works. And other than a Metasploit, what will be covered? I mean, there are more than 300 tools on Kali Linux. We will be covering uh, at least the major 25% of the tools that exist or that will help on your exam for OSCP. Um, I cannot say we will be using everything that's available on internet because there are, I mean, at this point, nobody actually know how many things are even there on GitHub or other tools. But we try to incorporate open source tools as much as we can and avoid any licensed tools because they are not allowed on exam. We cannot use Burp Suite Pro, or you can only use Metasploit framework once on the exam. So I think that might actually answer your question already. So yeah, I will take some more questions later if I'll have time. Let's move on. I'm sorry. We'll try to answer these questions later on. Um, quick answer for, can you please repeat the flags you told for the Nmap? It is TAC S, small s capital C, small s capital V, and then TAC capital O. These are the three most important flags that you can use. So SC, common services, SV versions, and TAC O is for operating systems. And then save your report. You can always see that information in the help for Nmap. All right, I will now go ahead. So tips for beginners. Take notes on everything. Utilize OneNote, Cherry Tree, Notepad++, whatever you can, or anything of your choice that you'd like. I personally recommend OneNote. That helped me a lot. As I'm talking about how I passed my OSCP, my notes actually were, what actually helped me on exam. So it's an open book test. It's not something that does not allow you to actually use your notes. You cannot actually have your friend sitting right next to you. You cannot do that. But your own notes are your friend there. So make sure that you're writing up the notes in a proper way. Why I recommend OneNote is that it helps segmenting your notes in the proper way. For instance, if you are attacking a single target, you create a subnote for enumeration and a subnote then for interesting finding or exploitation and pre-risk and all that. So read everything. I actually just mentioned it right away. Read everything. Read write-ups, read books, read resources about infrastructure, anything new, hacking methodologies, penetration testing, execution standards, OWASP top 10, whatever you find, read it. Take notes, and that will be very helpful. If you want to be a pen tester, do it, be realistic, uh, maintain a low profile. You know, why I said that is sometimes the more seasoned pen testers. I have a friend like that. He, they are very busy sometimes. They have their own projects they are working on, and they do not have time or nor willingness to answer hundreds of questions about hacking. please realize that this is okay. If someone does not want to help you, there are plenty of other people in the world and thousands of free resources. You just have to find the right person or the right resource. Um, that's why we are here, or I'd say that's why we exist. We help you guys. We are here to answer any questions. And another point is time is very valuable. Do not attack a machine repeatedly using the same failed techniques. Ask for help. Look out for a mentor. If you are certain that whatever you are trying is should be working, reach out to someone who is more experienced and ask for their help, or you know try to troubleshoot it yourself. Troubleshooting is also important if you want to be successful in OSCP. There might be a few things that will break during exam. Maybe your open VPN connection that actually connects you to the exam network, or maybe a tool that is not working, so you may have to reinstall it again. So troubleshooting is also important. Spend as much time as you can building your network as you do hacking. Building a network is also important. Uh, do not quit. We do not want uh, to quit very quickly or ever. Actually, I promise you, it gets easier. Um, I'm also a lead instructor at Evolve. I meet a lot of students, uh, you know, and I always say that it will get easier with time. It does. Learning is difficult, and growth as a hacker will take time. Growth will result in growing pains. You may feel like a bad hacker that does not actually know anything, but again, I promise it's not the case. The best thing you can do for yourself is to keep pushing and to hang in there, even during the low points. So this is for the intermediates now, or like the intermediate hackers, if there's any, or if all of you are who are in this room right now. So for those who are intermediate, who have intermediate skills already, assuming you already know networking and security basics, and actively participate in conferences, you have hacked multiple vulnerable machines on platforms. I'm assuming you have already done most of that. Uh, some suggestions I have is to try and spend a couple months working together with one or two people to root active boxes on Hack the Box, or some other machines like on VulnHub. Do not go for walkthroughs right away, right? As long as you do not actually read a walkthrough on for a VulnHub machine, it you can consider that as an active box, on Hack the Box. So if you don't want to purchase a VIP or something, go to VulnHub, or just whatever works for you. You can find people that are willing to work on boxes all over the place. There are so many Discord channels, so many forums that you can go to, and we do this a lot at Evolve Security internally. Our students from Cybersecurity Bootcamp, actually, this is one of the good points here. They created a Slack channel named Cyber Playground, and they meet almost every other night at around 9 p.m. Central, I guess. Uh, and they hack machines, whatever they feel like they hack. Sometimes they hack hard boxes, mediums, beginner level, depends. But you will find people everywhere. So if you find that you are having difficulty locating people to work with, um, that's okay. Feel free to reach out to us at Evolve Security. I think we can make a public channel where anyone can join and interact with us, ask your questions. I'm just asking. I'm just suggesting. I'm just saying that we can create a public Slack channel. If interested, we will see for the feedback, and if we will have some requests for that, we can work on that probably, uh, and create that channel. So you should aim to completely root boxes, between like 5 to 10 boxes in 2 to 3 months, and that's okay. So most common things I'll say I have covered here. Just try to do reverse engineering, web application hacking, stuff like that. I'm gonna basically rush a little bit here. I think we're on time. So here are some suggestions. Um, so PWK lab suggestions. Avoid kernel exploits that can lead to some unexpected results most of the times. Say no to kernel exploits. Use forums, but do not rely on them as uh, use them when you're stuck. So also record your sessions, because it's good if you would like to see yourself where you actually need improvement. So you can come back and see in your recording that, hey, I think I did this wrong when I was doing it. So record your sessions if that help. Do write-ups for yourself. It'll actually help you to make your reporting better. The most important part is to practice a lot of Windows boxes. Windows knowledge is important, and we do not have enough. Probably we do not have that much knowledge of Windows. I mean, at least myself, I use Linux, Mac 75% to 80% daily. So exam day suggestion, go for buffer overflow first. Talk out loud to yourself. Do not stress. And it's pretty important to not actually stress out. Take it slow. Take your time. Read the code before you use the exploit. Do not just use exploit right away. That might actually break your box, and you might have to use one of your reverts. Who knows? Box hopping is important. I actually found this from, it's important. Do not stay on the same box if it's not working out for you for a long time. Try to switch boxes. If a 10 pointer is not working out, forget it. You can always come back to that later. Go for the 20 pointer. Do different scans and do not waste your time on just by waiting for it and just sitting like this and wait for it. Just do scans for different machines. They are all different, and that will be um, the end of the suggestions I have here. Colleen, I think we're almost 3 minutes up here. I do not think we have.
Yeah, so yeah, the time is up for the presentation, but I think we're getting so many good questions coming in that we can go over, and you can just answer as many as you want for as long as you want.
Perfect. Thank you,
Yep.
Colleen.
Yeah.
So what is your way of step-by-step approach against a target? Very broad question, very good question, in my opinion. My approach to my step-by-step approach against a target is to, first of all, perform reconnaissance. I start with Nmap. Look out for services that are there. If the box is so because I do this for my day job, I'm a security engineer, and there are multiple experiences I had in my day job that I have faced, that there might be some other tips and tricks, like just by using ping, you can enumerate if your target box is a Windows machine or a Linux machine. You can look in the response there. The time to live will or can help to enumerate if it is a Windows machine or a Linux machine or a Mac or whatever. There are resources on internet that can actually teach you, like search for time to live value on the basis of operating system. So those things help to enumerate. So I enumerate your target properly. I start with the services that are on the boxes, and then I start from the common services that exist on the box. Like I go for HTTP 22, FTP or whatever is available. I mean, most of the times it's easy actually to find out that there is either port 80 or 443 or MySQL or port 8080, who knows, Apache. So go for those services, try to find out the version. That's why I mentioned Nmap TAC SV is for to scan the versions of those services that you're scanning, that you're enumerating. Try to find that, and that'll help you. Try to use the scripts that come along with Nmap. So once you enumerate the box up to a point where you are, confident enough that you almost know everything, go through every line of the Nmap scan, make it verbose if that helps. If it's port 80, then try to find out which other tool can be useful. So Nikto, which is another web application, web server vulnerability scanning tool, you can use that, and it'll help. So some of us actually, or most of us, I'll say, ignore a lot of the stuff in Nikto's output. I do not want to get too technical into this, but like there was one of a tilde enumeration vulnerability for one of our IAS servers, and kind of there was a file that helped me to further enumerate the box, and that was actually the information that I found using Nikto. That was my initial foothold on the box. So Nmap and Nikto, major tools. Wireshark, again, sometimes it helps. So, um, do not get confused with reverse shell or bind shell. In some of the cases, I actually use Wireshark to see if actually something is executed, even if I'm at least, Wireshark helps me to understand if I'm sending out the request correctly. Is it the correct package that's going out? More things. So my step-by-step approach: start from enumeration, reconnaissance, enumerate as much as you can, then find out what's vulnerable, get on the box, start with the local enumeration. There are tools like WinPeas or LinPeas, local enumeration tools. I go for that after I am done with the manual scanning. So I perform manual enumeration first. If I can find something pretty obvious that stands out of everything else, I go for that. If there is nothing helpful at all, then I'll just throw LinPeas or WinPeas on that, and then we'll try to enumerate the box as much as I can. So that helps. Again, Privesc is it sounds difficult, but as I mentioned, scheduled tasks, cron jobs. If it's a Linux box, cron jobs. Look out for those. Look out for folder permissions. Sudoers or like sudo tag L helps to find out what you can actually run without providing the password as a sudoer. So there are many other things that actually we will discuss in our boot camp, and avoiding every kind of a spoiler. We kind of do not want to discuss that at any point, but it's important to understand which tool will give me the right information. You do not want to just Hail Mary everything, like your target with all the tools that you have, and just perform a denial of service by the end of the day. So it's pretty straightforward approach that I have. I see some links for guide by OffSec officially here. How in depth does the web portion in the bootcamp go into? So, Ellen, how in depth does the web portion of the bootcamp go into? Um, I like web applications a lot, and we have a huge module around web applications that we will be covering. We will at least touch uh, OWASP top 10. However, there are certain vulnerabilities that sometimes are not actually important to discuss for OSCP specifically. Keep that in mind. Like um, we will discuss about how to perform. Actually, we will talk about a lot of Burp Suite stuff, LFI, local file inclusion, uh, path traversal, a lot of other things. So we go as much as required. We touch web application because most of, I think, the initial foothold on the boxes will be achieved either by a web application or some maybe a SQL or SMTP or a shared network, shared driver, something, who knows. It can be any service. I mean, but we do actually touch web applications a lot in the bootcamp. Um, what else can I take? Is Wireshark allowed to be used on the exam? Yes. It is just a network packet analyzer tool, and there is absolutely no problem using Wireshark on exam. However, there are certain tools that you cannot use, so try to avoid those. There's a list in exam guidelines that you can read. I think Wireshark, yes, is allowed to use. I don't see a problem using Wireshark. What skill level should a candidate have with Python? Good question. Basic Python, any code, it's English. You're not writing or coding in, uh, you know, Urdu or Hindi or some other languages. It's all English. It's just a logic in a different syntax. Python is important. Bash, some knowledge, basic knowledge is important. I would say, um, actually we covered that a little bit in the boot camp, not in the OSCP boot camp, but in the other one. But there are some other resources that we can definitely share with you guys. In case if anybody is interested, please reach out after this boot camp, after this webinar, and we can provide you with some resources there, I believe. But basic skill set, you do not need pro level skills with Python. The better they are, the best it is. But when I started, I had no clue what is coding. I cannot code from scratch today as well. But from scratch, I'm not a developer. I had never had a developer experience, but I was not. I think I can read a code or exploit, and that's pretty much it. It's just the logic that you'll have to understand. So it'll work out if you do not know that. We can help you with this. I have a bit of an issue trying to do privilege escalation. What are the tips you could provide regarding it? So privilege escalation, as I said, is where everybody or most of us actually uh, uh, get stuck when we are on the box. Privesc, again, it's not a big deal. It's something that needs really good enumeration. It's either a process or a cron job that can help a service, schedule task, something that you have to enumerate is triggering something else on the box with different permissions. It is either that or a kernel based or application based, there might be exploit that actually is already on exploit DB. OSCP is not about, it's not all about penetration testing. It's about vulnerability scanning as well. You have to perform vulnerability scanning. It's not about pen testing. Like, it's not all about pen testing. It's about, it also covers vulnerability scanning. So the better you can scan for those vulnerabilities, and the better you can find those exploits on Google or internet, um, the better the output will be. So as I'm repeating this again and again, but processes, cron jobs, scheduled tasks, or permissions, that's Prevesk. And that's probably how I think I have done Prevesk on most of the boxes that I've hacked so far. Not only on OSCP, but OneHub or Hack the Box, and for my clients. Um, um, Bash scripting aside, which programming language is most valuable to be familiar with for OSCP exam? Great question. Bash, yeah, keeping that aside, we need that. PowerShell, basic. You must know how to download a file using PowerShell, or how to execute, let's say Netcat. If you have an exe, how to execute that, or grab it from another box, from your box if you're hosting it. So PowerShell basics, Python, and Bash. These three are like definitely helpful for OSCP. Uh, Again, repeating it: Bash, Python, PowerShell. I do not think anything else is important that much. PHP might be, there might be a box where you have to upload a PHP reverse. Who knows? I mean, there are multiple boxes, so it's just like English in the code. So I won't say that go to some Udemy, go take a Udemy course for PHP, but Udemy courses or some other like courses for Python might help. Basics are required at least for PowerShell, Bash, and Python. Um, yeah, I think how do we get the extra 5 points? A pretty good question. So you can either just do 10 boxes in the lab environment and write reports, write 10 reports for all the, so one report each document, each lab, in the PWK lab environment. So work on that, and then you have to submit those labs, those 10 reports along with your exam report, and that can get you 5 extra points if you're stuck at 65. So I see why that question actually came in. Uh, that's one of the most common things that I've seen, that people get stuck at 65 points that bad. One of those 20 pointers is definitely not easy. The Prevesk on that box is so like sometimes it's tricky. I actually want to also mention here, some of the exploits might not just work right away, like the way they are on exploit DB. There might be a little tweaking that you have to do, but it'll be very simple. It'll be something that is mentioned in the exploit, and you might have to just understand it and like think out of the box. Uh, you don't even have to like recode that exploit again, but maybe just think a little bit different on how it is actually working and how can I make it work according to myself. Just one line in the code and that'll work. So um, that's where the knowledge of Bash and Python and Power. I don't think I have used a PowerShell exploit, but Python definitely helps. Um, all right. Would Burp Suite Community Edition suffice, or would we need Zap if we don't have Pro Edition? Oh, would we need Zap? No, Burp Suite Community Edition is sufficient. I'm not saying no to OWASP Zap, but yes, OWASP Zap does actually perform some automated scanning, so avoid using that uh, on exam. I will always go with Burp Suite Community Edition. It is everything you need for whatever purpose it is actually made for. Um, so if you want to use intruder, if you want to use repeater, if you want to perform a local, if you want to perform a path traversal or whatever you want, Burp Suite Community Edition will work for you. It's definitely just what you need. Don't worry about OWASP Zap. You don't need that. Um, I'm a beginner then. Is CEH good for me, and also any best institutes or courses for it in India? Uh, Very tricky question. Is CEH good for me, beginner? Any good institutes? I will. So finding an institute is pretty tricky, and I took one boot camp when I was in India. It's different for each student. It is about how you are utilizing whatever is being provided to you. Every institute is good, or every institute can be bad. It's just about how much time you are dedicating um, when you're participating in that course. I will say we have we have tons of students that come in, and sometimes it's more than 100. We have like 2 cohorts simultaneously going on sometimes. Some students actually complete their labs before time. Some students try not to do that because they like doing it with the instructor. Uh, it's about your dedication and how much time you're putting into it. So I cannot name an institute in India. Um, it depends on your location as well. However, uh, also talking about CEH, I did it when it was like CEH V6 or V7. I loved the V6 version. However, there were so many modules. But since we are discussing OSCP here, I'll try to stick to that. Um, for beginners, go with Security Plus. We do not talk about that at all back in India. When I did my Security Plus, people were like kind of laughing at me like, dude, why are you wasting your money on this? When you were actually go through the curriculum that they cover in Security Plus, that's very helpful. We personally recommend Security Plus. We actually give away vouchers when we do boot camps. So all the students get a voucher, a complimentary voucher from us for Security Plus. Um, Go for that, and read online resources. And if you think you want to be a CEH, you can take that. It's any certification have its own curriculum, its own material. Go for it. Feel free to do it. I'm sorry, I can not name an institute here as I do not know one, or cannot suggest one. Should I give A plus net N plus as I'm a beginner? Yes, you can. The more the better your foundation is, the better professional you will be. I started from A plus. I took A plus, N plus, then Security plus, uh, and because you want to be an expert on all the 7 layers of OSI model, or actually 8. The 8th layer is the user layer, which is above the application layer. Actually, a user, me, I'm one of the OSI model layer. So all those 7 layers, you want to be expert at the physical layer, the data link, and then the networking layer and transport layer. You want to be an expert of everything that goes into that. So it's absolutely, it's absolutely helpful, and that's why one of the reasons why actually I took A plus, N plus, and Security Plus before actually jumping into information security. So go for it. It will be a good start, and you will thank me later. So um, is the pre-configured virtual lab infrastructure that spins up on demand for Bootcamp the same or different than PWK labs? Um, I am not sure the pre-configured virtual lab infrastructure, the one that you're talking about there in here, is that, which one is it? Are you talking about proving grounds or are you talking about something else? Um, you can always find more information about it on our website, and always feel free to reach out to one of our contacts that are listed on our website if you have any questions. Um, can we run Windows as our host OS and Kali as guest OS? We have VirtualBox and use both of. I'll suggest use the. I mean, I personally uh, did my exam on. Yeah, I have a Mac OS, and um, I actually used Fusion, and on top of it, I had Kali Linux installed on it. That was provided to me from Offensive Security, just to be on the safe side. I had a backup Kali Linux VM, so VMs are fine. Host operating system is your choice. I am very used to Mac OS now, so I used it. If you're good with Windows, feel free uh, to use that. Um, Colleen, I think I am almost done with some of the questions there. I can do.
Awesome.
Can we answer these questions like afterwards later
Yeah.
on?
Yeah, definitely. We will keep track of all the questions and we can provide answers and people can also reach out to us. But yeah, did you want to answer any more or are we good to go?
I can answer any n number of questions. I mean, these are really good questions. But I think, mm, yeah, I think I'm good.
Okay. Yep.
Colleen.
Awesome. Sounds
Nice.
good. So I just want to thank everyone for coming and obviously thank you to Ramandeep so much for this awesome presentation. Could you just repeat your social media handle or a way for people to get in touch with you?
Sure. The way to connect with me is basically my social media handler is 0xRDS, initials of my name. Or if you just search for Ramandeep Singh Information Security or Ramandeep Singh Hacker, you can just find me on internet.
Awesome. Perfect. And just so everyone knows, because we didn't have time for a demo, we will send out a recording of a previous live demo that Ramandeep did for a meetup. And we will also send out the invite link to the public Slack playground once we get that all set up. And so just another few quick reminders. We had so many awesome questions coming in. So if you didn't get your question answered, please email us at admissions@evolvesecurity.com. Again, that is admissions@evolvesecurity.com. Our next meetup will be in April, and we'll have more details to come on that soon. And like I said, a recording of this event will be available later today on our website. Lastly, do not forget to go apply for our OSCP Bootcamp that is starting April 5th. And with that, thank you again to everyone and to our awesome hosts, and have a great rest of your afternoon. Awesome. Thanks, everyone.